I just wanted to share that video just to give you an insight on Latin America, what some of the key markets are, and I will also go through the presentation. Just to make sure we're all in the right room, I just wanted to have this as my first page. I have done that before, I've walked into the wrong room, and I've actually also walked into the bathroom after my presentation with the microphone, so hopefully I won't do that again tonight. In that video we talked about Latin America and emerging markets. Question, has anyone been to Latin America? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nice. Where have we been? Where have you traveled?
From Colombia.
From Colombia, excellent. Colombia is my favorite place. From Bogota? Perfect. Where else? Brazil? Very nice. Ecuador? Very good. Excellent. Okay, so this is me, Latinos Downunder. I heard someone mention LinkedIn, which is very, very important. I've got them LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook there, just on my first homepage, because it's amazing how powerful these tools actually are, and I actually use them quite frequently. I've actually, through LinkedIn, have met a lot of new potential clients. It's very important to have your file up to date, and then also, if you are going to have Twitter or Facebook, you really need to be active and use it correctly as well. I was asked, actually when I was approached if I was available to speak tonight, I was actually in South America in July doing a sales trip in Latin America, and I was in Chile, Brazil, Argentina, Colombia, and Mexico. And when I was approached, I said, yeah, sure, fantastic. Should have an update on the market, and then I can share my knowledge with everybody. So it's actually good timing that I'm here, because there's been a change over the years with Latin America, and just basically the trends that have changed over the years. So just to give you some background on myself, I actually started working in tourism in 1989 for a company called Globus and Cosmos. I believe they call themselves the Globus family now. And I basically did 10 years of outbound, based here in Sydney. Then I saw the other side and worked in inbound for another 10 years. Then I had enough of tourism and I left for 2 years. Funnily enough, I did come back and continued working with the inbound side of things. Basically as a BDM, I would travel to Latin America every year, and I would visit the wholesalers. I would do training to operators on how to sell Australia. And I felt that over the years there was a missing link between the destination and Australia. And a lot of the agents that were selling Australia were not confident in how to sell Australia. I would do a product and destination training, and I would have 50, 100 people, 150 people sometimes, that a wholesaler would put together a training seminar for their retail agents. And the reality is that it was very rare if I ever had 1 or 2 people that put their hands up that had actually travelled to Australia. So for me to have 100 retail agents in a room selling Australia and they've never travelled to Australia, that was a concern for me. So over the years, I found a niche opportunity, and in 2010, started up a representation company and consultation. And basically what I do is I travel to Latin America. I'm currently representing 9 different companies. One of them, yes, is Southern World Australia. And I also represent some of those other hotels. I've just finished last week a trade event. Has anyone heard of Luxperience? Luxperience was a luxury trade show here in Sydney. We had about 150 international buyers in town. We had over 300 total buyers at the event. And basically it was for high-end products, exhibiting at the overseas passenger terminal. And the buyers, I had 13 buyers from Latin America attend. My role was to secure buyers and exhibitors attending the event. From the 13 buyers that I had, 9 of them were first-timers to Australia. They were directors of companies, they were the owners of the company, they were decision makers. And that's what we need. We need to be getting these guys, the decision makers, coming to Australia firsthand. They also did pre and post for mills around Australia. And we were very, very lucky with the weather. It was around the time when we were having 30 degrees in Sydney, so we were very blessed with the weather. So that's just to give you a bit of background about Latinos Down Under. I go to market probably twice a year, visiting wholesalers, doing product and training, and then also I come back to market, and then I also educate the products here about the market overseas. My job is basically to connect the two. I've just recently finished the website, and I've just had some testimonials there. I believe they're very important to have on websites because these are the companies that I'm representing and the achievements that I've been able to have with them. They've actually allowed me to share them. So they're on my website. You can have a look later on. One of the fun parts of my job is I actually get to travel with agents when they do come to Australia. This was a mill that I escorted for Southern World Australia. We had agents there from Colombia, from Mexico, from Argentina, and from different parts of Argentina. And basically we travelled to Sydney, we went to Hamilton Island, and we also went to Melbourne. That's a pretty standard traditional trip, about 10 days, and that's really what the clients from Latin America want to see. It's cities, it's island, beach. They love beach experiences. So this is one part of the fun job that I have. So emerging markets, what does emerging markets actually mean? Well, and again, at Experience 2 weeks ago, we talked about BRICS, which is Brazil, Russia, India, and China. And then also we talked about Mexico, Indonesia, South Korea, and Turkey. I'm actually quite pleased that Brazil and Mexico are listed in the top 7 largest emerging and developing countries, because they're 2 countries that I'm actually working with, 2 markets that I'm working with. I've been to Brazil the last 3 years. São Paulo has the population of Australia. It's a huge place. The airport is 30 kilometres from town. It takes 2 hours to get into town. You could almost run faster. It's crazy. It's expensive. Brazil, for me, is more expensive than Australia. And my question, and when I was there, it's like, why are hotels so expensive? Why is the food so expensive? And it's because they can. The demand's there. We've got they have the World Cup next year. They will have the Olympics in 2016. These are all aspects that are helping them get established. There's a lot of people in South America with money. We don't ask questions. We don't ask questions about why they have money. We don't ask questions where they get the money. We just look after them when they get here. I remember the first time I did a sales trip in South America. I was in my mid-20s. And I remember arriving in São Paulo, and I was in Mexico. And I remember just seeing helicopters everywhere in town. And I said, I need to find out why there's helicopters in town like every day. Anyway, my next appointment, I rocked up and I asked, why are there so many helicopters? And the response was, and the helicopters are actually docked on top of the buildings in town. And the response was, it's the high-end businessmen getting from one appointment to their next appointment. Because, well, 2 reasons. One, the traffic, and the other, the security, the safety. So when we sell Australia as a safe destination, a secure destination, a clean destination. These are selling points that in Brazil, they don't feel safe. I normally book a driver for the day in Mexico. I don't catch taxis on the street. Yes, there's kidnappings, and they're well aware of it. So the fact that their clients can come to Australia, I've had clients go to Kangaroo Island, and the fact that their kids can just run freely and they're not worried or stressed that their kids are going to be kidnapped, or that is, for them, it's to come to Australia and just feel in a safe country. Another selling point that we have. So the emerging markets that were mentioned in that DVD, and then also markets that I visit every year. Brazil is the powerhouse with the most arrivals. Argentina, Chile, Colombia, Peru. We get, obviously Uruguay is a small country, but we do get some groups traveling from Uruguay, and then Mexico. Mexico again, very big market. The Mexicans will either travel via the United States or they will travel via Latin America through South America. And I will show you some of the airlines and also how they get here, and also some complications that we do have in terms of visas, the dollar. So unfortunately I won't have time to go through each of those points, but I will touch on some of them. So in terms of aviation, how do clients from Latin America get to Australia? Well, Qantas has 3 flights a week from Santiago de Chile, Santiago direct to Sydney. It's about a 13-14 hour flight. LAN has 6 flights from Chile direct again to Sydney, and Aerolíneas has 3 flights. There are also other possibilities with Emirates coming from Buenos Aires and also from Brazil. And then we've also got South African and Etihad as well. The Mexican market, some of them already have visas to go through the US, so they will go 3 hours. They'll fly from Mexico City to Los Angeles, and then from Los Angeles to Sydney another 13 hours. Otherwise, alternatively, they will travel via South America. In terms of the trends and patterns and why do they travel and who travels to Australia, these are some of the figures that I put out for last year. And funnily enough, more than 50% of arrivals to Australia are actually that 15 to 34 years. So we do get a lot of the students, we do get the backpackers, and then the rest are the leisure travellers. Brazil's the powerhouse with more than 30,000 arrivals, and the clients from Brazil will generally travel to Chile, which is a 3-hour flight. We mentioned before Sydney, Hamilton Island and Melbourne. Apart from those cities, the Red Centre has always been an attractive, Sydney Rock and Reef kind of itinerary. The general stay in Australia will be 10 to 12 sort of nights. Then with their flights, it sort of becomes a 14-day package. I will never offer a Latin client a 3-star hotel because they will just complain. Latin clients are experienced travellers. Minimum would be 4-star, and then the client that does travel in business class, which a lot of them do, will stay in 5-star properties. Breakfast is 95% of the time included. In Latin America, when you stay in a hotel, breakfast is included, and so is this thing called Wi-Fi. I remember being in South America 10 years ago, and everywhere I went, I kept seeing this thing called Wi-Fi, and I'm like, what the hell is Wi-Fi? Anyway, I worked out that Wi-Fi was Wi-Fi, and you had free internet everywhere in South America. I'm talking on the subway, I'm talking in shops, I'm talking in shopping centres, I'm talking in hotel lobbies, in hotel rooms. So when clients arrive into Australia and you offered them a hotel room, they're automatically assuming that breakfast is included and that they're going to have internet access, because that's what they've had in Latin America for the past 10 years. Who's traveling to Australia? Well, we talked about the students, also the backpackers. They tend to come for longer than your traditional leisure traveller. Honeymooners is always going to be families and experienced travellers. When do they travel? There's kind of two high seasons. One's October to March, which is the summer, and then we've got July, August, and that's probably more for the Mexican market, and then the Spain market, which is their summer. Visas over the years have been an issue, but we've also had a lot of progress. Our friends across the Tasman, New Zealand, a lot of the countries in Latin America, they actually don't need a visa to go to New Zealand. So when the Latin American is a last-minute decision maker, Latinos can be a little bit dramatic sometimes. It's, you know, they wake up one day and they say, next week we're going to Australia. It's like, well, yeah, you can, but you can't, because you need to get a visa. In Brazil, it's quite easy to get a visa. You can actually get that online. Same with Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay. We have working holiday visas with Argentina, Chile, and Uruguay again. Where we do have issues is Mexico and Colombia, where the visas are taking 3 to 4 weeks, and that's where we're actually losing clients, and they're going to another destination. The trends and how does a Latin client find out about Australia? Why would they come to Australia? Well, they will do a lot of research on the internet. So if you have an option to have Spanish collateral or information on your websites, a huge bonus in Portuguese, because the consumer will jump online, and if you have that information in their language, huge selling bonus still there. Are they confident enough to book all their arrangements online? Yes and no. The younger generation probably would be. Your clients that are more experienced travellers would still go through your traditional distribution channel and would still book through an agent. Right now, at the moment, in Buenos Aires, in Argentina, there's a fair trade show called FIT, Feria Internacional Turismo. And probably about 5-6 years ago, Qantas used to attend, and so did TA. There's probably over 20 trade shows and events in Latin America every year. From all of those, the only one that I'm aware of that has had some presence has from Tourism Australia, and a couple of products from Australia, was in Brazil in April this year, and that was for Travel Week, which is a luxury product as well. So, is Australia present in Latin America at the moment? It's debatable. I believe we could be doing a lot more. I went on an ATEC mission in 2008, which was fantastic. In 2010 and 2011, we actually had Tourism Australia, and also ATEC had agents actually coming to Australia, and we did workshops with them. There was like 35 to 40 wholesalers that came from overseas. They did pre and post for meals. Fantastic way to showcase the country. These are the activities that we need to be actively promoting, because yes, our agents can sell Australia, but once they've been here, it's totally different. Everybody knows first-hand experience is best. So how do we connect with Latin America, and what are the challenges, the issues, and the opportunities? I just talked about the trade shows, the booking habits, and having an online system. We talked about the social media, having Facebook, Twitter. I actually just worked out last week how to get a YouTube, how to download YouTube onto my computer and onto my website, and also onto Facebook, so I'm really happy about that. It's just all these little tools, and you just don't know. I get these random emails, you know, about, you know, I want to get into the market. How can you help me get into the market? You know, I don't know how to grow my product. Can you help me grow? I need to get into new markets. And it's like, well, okay, give me a bit of information. So as much information as you can have on your website, for me, that's your frontline tool. Here in Australia, what can we do to get involved more with Latin America? We need to understand the market, and by speaking the language, I don't mean we all need to be fluent tonight in Spanish. Just having some collateral, some information in Spanish or in Portuguese about the product that you're offering, or if you're doing a trip to the reef, just have the day itinerary in Spanish. Generally, the clients that will travel from South America do speak English, but there is that younger generation that will still request services in Spanish or in Portuguese. My biggest issue is the product and destination awareness. My job is to help agents overseas grow that and also help products here be more aware of how the market works in Latin America as well. I believe the biggest issue here is consistency. We need to be every year involved with the market, and obviously that's an investment. And a hotel might approach me and say, look, I want you to go overseas and represent me in market. You know, what's my return on investment going to be? And it's like, you can't say that. Anything is going to be 3 to 5 years minimum, and if it wasn't for some of the products and some of the companies that I've been representing for the past few years, we wouldn't be where we are now, and that's just credibility that you're sort of building over the years. That's the presentation that I have on Latin America. And there's just a couple of things that my advice and recommendation throughout my career and my journey in working in tourism has been, set yourself some goals. Don't give up on, you know, sometimes in high season, you know, everyone's getting into high season now, it gets stressful. There is light at the end of the tunnel. One of the biggest factors for me is actually having mentors throughout my career. And you know, if it wasn't for those mentors, I probably wouldn't be here today. Just for some guidance, you know, on a personal level, and then also for my career. So I just want to thank everyone, and please, if you have any questions afterwards, happy to have a chat and get to know everyone. And if anyone wants a business card or anything, please feel free to come and see me. Thank you.